Alright, so I'm 2 years late to the train here, but I finally watched House of the Dragon Season 2. And so what did I think? Wearing my Lannister pendant today. I was a huge fan of the first season, and I started Season 2 when it was airing back in 2024. But honestly, couldn't get into it past Episode 4, so I fell out of the weekly groove there. Season 3 is airing right now, so I decided to go back, finish it off. Time for it to finish 5 days from when I'm filming this. Review should be out by next week. Anyways, right off the bat, this is a huge downgrade to Season 1. Not inherently bad, there's still sprinkles of greatness here and there, but it's so spread out that it's harder to really appreciate. I mean, it feels like 5 episodes stretched into 8 with the 9th one missing. The first 4 can be argued to be necessary, albeit a bit extended, but the strongest part of the season by far. But then after the Battle of Rook's Rest, suddenly everything just slows down and we get 4 episodes of not a whole lot. And then it ends basically right where we began. At the start of the season, we had Rhaenyra prepared to finally go to war. Episode 1 happens, yeah, okay. You get the blood and cheese scene. Then, okay, an episode where she's at Dragonstone, right? Okay, another episode where she's at Dragonstone. All right, we got the, yep, she meets Alice. Then, okay, you ever gonna leave Dragonstone? Then she remains there giving orders until the end of the season where she's back prepared to go to war again. Daemon starts this season loyal to Rhaenyra. They have this fight which he pisses off the Harrenhal, where he has all these flashbacks and visions spread across 6 episodes. Then in the 7th episode in the entire season, he has this grand dream of Emilia Clarke and then decides, okay, I'm still loyal to Rhaenyra. Look, obviously I'm oversimplifying things just a little bit, but this isn't far off. The writers literally have Rhaenyra complaining about her doing nothing multiple times across multiple episodes. This basically tells me everything I need to know. Like, Daemon's Harrenhal vision are necessary for his character growth, but not necessary for 6 episodes worth of it. Season 2 only adapted 25 pages of source material compared to Season 1's 78 pages, and 10 of those 25 pages are just the first episode. And there's no payoff to all this setup either, right? Like, that doesn't happen until the start of Season 3. So if you watched this 2 years ago, which you probably did, you probably felt like you just wasted 9 hours. The first half of the season, while good, still has its issues. For starters, they completely throw a lot of the moral ambiguity out the window here, where it's clear they're framing Team Black as good and Team Green as bad, which is not great for obvious reasons, but really just only served to make Team Green far more interesting to watch than Team Black. Jacaerys, Rhaena, and Baela are far less engaging than Aegon and Aemon. Rhaena and Baela don't really do much this season at all, and become basically just servants of Rhaenyra, delivering speeches and monologues when necessary. Jacaerys is a little bit more fleshed out, especially towards the back half of the season, where, we see at least his, his entitlement and his conflicting beliefs about, his mother's actions and what they should be doing. But these pale in comparison to Aegon and Aemon, where because of the depth required that is given, they become far more compelling characters. Tom Glyn Carney in particular delivers the best performance this season, in my opinion. He brings this almost like silly and childish, like Shakespearean nature to Aegon. So after this guy gets wiped off the map in episode 4, the show goes downhill. Speaking of the Rook's Rest battle, there is so much going on this season that purely exists for spectacle without the substance and logic to back it. Rook's Rest made no sense and completely destroyed the intelligence of 4 main characters. Blood and Cheese takes some serious disbelief suspension to buy into. Other smaller things like Baela on the dragon, sparing Cole and his army, the King's Landing meeting with Alicent and Rhaenyra in episode 3. All things I enjoyed because of pure spectacle and talented production and entertainment, but they exist on zero logical foundation, where if you really just stop to think about, the setup of how these events go into play, it doesn't really make any sense. Good parts though, a lot of the downtime here is similar to Season 1 Game of Thrones, where they show the plotting and schemes of moves like a chess game, and that stuff can be pretty interesting for the most part. Most notably when Aegon is ruling at King in the first few episodes. That's so laughably entertaining at points just how terrible he is at this role. Seeing the effects of all his stupid and, not thought out decisions come into play, and watching that early conflict with Otto Hightower, who is probably still the best character. I liked Alicent's arc, where she really starts to really grow and see the error in her ways, and really starts to think about who should she actually be backing, right? Like, are her sons really the people she wants on the throne? No. The dragons were portrayed quite well here, and it was interesting to explore the initiation of becoming a dragon rider and what that means, and the requirements of that, what that signifies for the rider themselves. Dragons felt like real threats here, right? Where episode 7, it wasn't great, but that sequence towards the end where they're hoping for a rider for Vermithor was very well done, and made me buy into how much of a force and just presence the dragons are, and how just incredibly dangerous they are for the opposite team. So I don't hate this season, right? It has what made Season 1 great, but its failures from a structural and pacing perspective just do so much damage to the experience. And I also acknowledge that I watched this in 1 week, like basically binged it, and I don't have to wait 2 years for the next season, right? I can only imagine that a lot of issues I mentioned here were just purely exacerbated for people watching this week to week, especially since, you get to that finale and then all the setup, and then, okay, we're finally gonna get this big war, and then it ends. All right, 2026 2 years later for that big battle and fucking the gullet, right? Overall, I'd give House of the Dragon Season 2 a solid 6 out of 10. Let me know if you agree or disagree down below.